Blog Talk Radio.
There it is. Gamblers, find your designated table and let's play some.
The idea you win. What can I get for $17?
What are you talking about, Willis?
He's got alligator blood. Can't get rid of him. Must be a piece of hand.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it all depends on the the texture of the board. If there's straight out, flush out, you can get up against a set.
With low limits, people play, reasonably well.
The way to really test your hand is all in.
Every hand. But the games are just nutty. Like 5 bets every street.
Motherfucker! You fool your man! Motherfucker! That is it!
That's it. What the fuck are you talking about? That's it. Take it down, man.
Yes! No more! No! Not tonight!
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
If you guys play poker, what would you rather play in?
Low limit poker.
I don't even like playing blackjack with $1 minimums.
You gotta get on those $5 tables at like 10 in the morning. Those are fun.
I don't know, for me, buffet mashed potatoes or buffet mashed potatoes.
You gotta put ranch powder on them.
Mashed potatoes are all about butter.
With a really good gravy or garlic mashed potatoes for me. Or even truffle mashed potatoes. Now that's the nuts right there.
And welcome to the second episode of Low Limit Poker. With us today, Bootsy Collins. How you been doing, man?
Oh, pretty good. Yourself?
Yeah, I'm a zombie, man. I had a great night last night, but how you been playing the past week?
I haven't played at all, so I'm breaking even.
Outstanding. That sounds like you've been breaking even on free rolls.
Yep.
And also on the air, we have our favorite person, guest.
Please welcome back Steve-O, everybody.
Steve-O, how you been, man?
Good. How you guys doing?
Same old. So, how you been this week?
Busy. Let's see, my brother turned 25. My oldest had his Orangeville test this week. It's been a busy week. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, if you haven't been following me on Twitter, I guess I'm on a heater, per se, because I've just been tearing up Kashada here recently. I think it was like 2 sessions I did over there, and then that one home game really upped compared to where I started at, but we'll let bygones be bygones. So, Steve-O, I know you're going to lead us off here. Tell us a little bit about PokerStars FTP Deal, because I know that's been hot for the past, year and a half.
Yeah, we actually, it looks like we might be coming to a close on that. Wendine Eolis at Poker Player newspaper posted a very quick, just little teaser about it, that she had some information, which we've heard, 100 times before, but she's actually very credible compared to what we've seen in the past. I mean, she's actually broken quite a few stories just recently. She broke the Phil Ivey playing in 1 drop before it happened. And then she also did that PokerStars CEO was stepping down, and within an hour of her posting that, PokerStars had to come out with a statement. So hopefully she's right on the ball again. But she's saying that it looks like possibly by Monday we could hear something about that deal being done. She put a timetable of players will most likely get paid before Christmas, and then there's also been a follow-up update where she said Full Tilt will be back online in November. So we'll see how that plays out. I was wondering what you guys think of the rumor. At this point, are we just crossing our fingers? Are we giving this any more credence than the other ones? What do you guys think?
Honestly, I really don't put any truth to it until the deal has been completely done. There's been actual official response. Right now, we're just I could make a tweet out there and say, hey, there's going to be the deal's going to be done, and it's just all about credibility. I mean, we don't have anybody from PokerStars making a statement about it, so I'm just on a wait and see basis right now.
What about you, Johnny? Are you a pessimist or an optimist?
You know, Steve-O, I'm probably the realist of the group. Who is the guy? It wasn't Guy Liberté, but there was another French guy that wanted to buy out FTP.
Oh,
the Tappies.
Oh, yeah, the Tappies. Now, remember that deal strung out for how long? 2 months? 3 months?
Oh, more than that. I think they started in June, and we didn't end it until April, so almost a year.
Okay, so if we had that deal on the books for about a year, it makes me think, well, what did PokerStars do? Did they pull a false flag to try to get, Ray Bitar to come to the States to go into indictment? Is PokerStars just trying to buy out all the issues so that way they can get regulated in the States? This doesn't sound like a pro-FTP deal to me. This sounds like a get-out-of-jail-free card for PokerStars, and honestly, they got the role to do it, but to be honest with you, if you'll be lucky to get 1 penny to the dollar for FTP because it's, $300 million in the red right now?
Yeah, 330, 350 million in that area.
And if you honestly think about it, the software ain't worth $350 million. You know what I mean?
Oh, I definitely agree with that. I think a lot of it is, like you said, though, let's get out of jail free on this, and part of that is repaying players. Yeah,
but now that's only 2/3 of the issue. I mean, you got Absolute Poker / Ultimate Bet. They got some issues resolved too, don't they?
Yeah, they're liquidating. So, if you'll be lucky to get 5 cents on the dollar from them, but they've already thrown in the towel.
Yeah, whoever played on Ultimate Bet during that period of time is a complete moron.
Hey, now, Annie Duke is not a complete moron.
Oh, I could consider her in that group.
Hey, she's smart enough to ride the ship all the way into the iceberg.
Actually, no, she bailed a little bit earlier before the Black Friday hit, so along with Phil Hellmuth. No.
Yeah, well, nothing actually touched him on that. That was all pretty much on the Lederer family, ain't it?
Oh, yeah. Seems like all Lederers are scumbags.
All right, Steve-O, I know you got something. All right, so you guys are saying tomorrow we'll just come and go as usual, no update, no nothing? Or do we think there's a chance of an announcement?
I'll say a 5% chance.
5%.
You know, I almost want to book that bet of the 20-to-1 bet against that. I believe there's going to be an announcement.
The same thing.
The announcement's going to be, we can't announce anything about this deal, or if this deal exists.
Well, they had the Eric Holreiser, the PR guy over at PokerStars, when that random guy tweeted that there was no deal, there was never a deal on the table, it was all a farce. He actually gave a quote to Andrew Feldman. This was like the first PokerStars person to talk about it. And he said that's not true. So they are in talks. There is talks going on. Whether how far along they are is the real issue. But like I said, Wendini Olis and Diamond Flush also made some tweets that she was going to have a big write-up in 3 days, which happened on Friday. So she was shooting Monday too. So those are two pretty credible sources. I mean, if you look through the Eolis's older stories, she doesn't jump the gun without it. It's always happened. So I'm actually pretty upbeat about that. But I still maybe give you 5-1 that we hear something tomorrow.
I mean, that's pretty much, waiting for Santa Claus to climb down the chimney, in my opinion. It's just, I'm going to be positive and say it's going to be happening hopefully by the end of the year, or by maybe a year from now, maybe. But I don't think it's going to come out like within 2 days. I mean, that's just, I don't know.
No, yeah, I'll agree with Bootsy on this. If we're talking about live internet poker within the States on Full Tilt Poker, PokerStars by the end of November, that's pretty much not going to happen. I mean, think about UGEIA and all the laws against it. But talking about some laws, Steve-O, I know you got another banger to drop on us about some legislation and the Nevada Gaming Commission. What's that all about?
The Nevada Gaming Commission just approved their third company for a license. So now we're up to 3, which is good. Shufflemaster is the latest. And before that, last month, IGT, and I think it's like International Gaming Technology or something along those lines. And Bally's also got licenses. So they're starting to move forward. They're hoping to have online poker in Nevada by the end of the year. But there's a more interesting development federally where Harry Reid, the Senate Majority Leader, is pushing another online poker bill. But he's looking for Republican support to get it through the Senate. Right now they have 2 Republicans on board, Dean Heller from Nevada, along with Harry Reid from Nevada, and John Keel from Arizona, who's an interesting person to be on board since he was one of the authors of UIGEA. But there's nothing, the bill hasn't been introduced yet. They're waiting till they have enough votes, and it could just be, kind of a political thing in the silly season of presidential elections. But if it does go through, it's only online poker that would be legalized and regulated. All other forms of online gaming, casino games, sports betting, it would actually strengthen laws against those. So there may be slight possibility that they could get enough votes because it's only poker, but I wouldn't hold my breath on that one.
So, Steve, question for you. Is this similar to what the New York office, the one that brought down PokerStars FTP and Absolute Poker / Ultimate Bet, is it similar in line of what they said post-Black Friday about, well, we just don't want to kill iPoker, we just want to kill the net tellers of the world. Internet poker is okay. I mean, is that what this bill is basically saying?
Yeah, it's a very interesting bill because it's slicing poker away from every other form of online gaming for the first time. So we'll see how that gets a reaction from the diehards that are against gambling and all of that. And with the way they've rephrased the Wire Act, where it only applies to sports betting, it's kind of opened the door a little bit. So it will be interesting to watch and see if this develops in any way. Harry Reid tried to push through something in 2010 towards the end of the year and basically got shot down. So seems like he's trying the same thing again, only a more watered down version where it's just online poker. And Dean Heller, who's the other senator from Nevada, who's a Republican, he actually is in a pretty tough race this year for the Senate against Shelley Berkeley. So he's going to need the Nevada casinos' donations, let's say, to fight a good campaign. So that's one of the reasons why he's on board with this and trying to drum up support, because if he doesn't, it can get thrown around in his face because basically he's hurting the Nevada economy by not legalizing online poker. So it's actually interesting dynamic for a poker bill.
Now, Bootsy, how big is the draw for internet poker out there in California?
Well, I've been hearing things that Party Poker has been collaborating with some Indian tribes, and I think that Cantor Gaming just got a approval to get a license for California online gambling. But like I said, I don't think there is much of a huge desire for online poker, especially if it's just going to be intrastate poker, because we have a lot of casinos that we can all play a lot of poker on.
Yeah, and that's the one thing. I mean, you heard Nevada say, yeah, interstate's okay, but we want interstate. If it was just California versus California, Nevada versus Nevada, I don't see iPoker surviving, because you look at certain states that have it blocked, and you know there's poker players in that state. Brick and mortar casinos pretty much run the show. But another thing that was brought up was internet poker for Indian casinos. I've noticed here recently that Indian casinos have been trying to push to get online legislation as well. I mean, do you have any bit on that, Steve-O?
Yeah, there was actually a Senate subcommittee meeting on the tribal gaming affair. I don't know the exact name of it. They've had a few of these but it's Indian casinos are very split on this, especially out in California. Bootsy would know that it's like 50-50. Half of them want it and the other half don't. Out towards me with like Mohegan, Foxwoods, they're pretty much for it. They want it to go ahead. That's just one of those almost like an appeasement thing, that they would never pass some type of online poker legislation federally allowing casinos to offer it without making sure there were special kickbacks for the Indian tribes. That's more where that stuff comes in, is that it's Indian, like the Massachusetts casino bill. The Indian tribe had to get the first license. It had to go to an Indian tribe, and they had to get the first one. There's always very special stipulations for those things.
Yeah, and, I can see that being a good thing, but let's say if it got localized, right? So only California players can play California players. If you think about the potential, Indian casinos kind of operate independently anyway from U.S. laws because it's on their territory. And if they worked it out that they can play, let's say, Foxwood players versus Mohegan Sun players versus, I'm just going to rattle off a couple here, Coshada players versus Paragon players, they might be able to do intra-state before we do. I mean, what's your take, or what's the potential on that, Steve-O?
That would probably fall under interstate commerce laws, so they probably wouldn't be allowed to do that state to state unless you were gambling on the casino premises. So if you were at Foxwoods, you could play online poker against somebody in like Choctaw Casino in Oklahoma if they were all banded together. But because you're going across the state lines, you're going to fall under federal jurisdiction. So it couldn't just be that they had a loophole that their online sites allowed for interstate, while casino sites or whatever didn't. I would say that the chances of that are pretty slim.
Well, you know me, I'm a gambler. Sometimes I go for that 2-outer on the river, But here's an interesting scenario, just talking about that. And, like I said, this is like a really rare chance that this even does happen. But imagine being at Foxwoods. You're at the circuit event. You just donk off 3 or 4 buy-ins for the night, so you're already down $1,200. You go up to your room, play a little internet poker, and you're playing against anybody that's at a reservation on PokerStars. I mean, that would give me a warm and fuzzy, to be honest with you.
That could be a possibility. That's not, obviously, but you run into the problem of the federal legislation or that state or Connecticut legislation. They would have to have laws approving Indian casinos to offer online poker and then it would have to be from overseas because it's PokerStars. So, it's a possibility. It's actually kind of a cool idea, but there's a lot of red tape on that. Actually, I think that's a really good idea, though.
Consider it booked right there. That's Pika's great idea of the week. I mean, Bootsy, what would be your take on that if you had that opportunity?
I think it'd probably be worthwhile. I mean, do I actually have to be staying at the resort, or could I just be playing? How would those logistics work out? That's
the fun thing. You'd probably have to be on reservation soil. You know what I mean? But outside of that, I don't see why you couldn't. You know what I mean?
It's a possibility. Like I said, I don't know how the games would be. I mean, I don't know what the interest level would be.
Actually, this is from live chat. Sir Bob Orr, longtime listener to multiple podcasts, just put out in the chat, they do it with horse racing. So, to be honest with you, can you bet via wire on horse races anyway?
Yeah, I mean, there's off-track betting in multiple places. Especially California, there's more off-track betting here than there are live brick-and-mortar poker rooms.
Yeah, but, if you can do it with horse racing, I don't see why you can't do it with poker. Horse racing is kind of a luck box thing, in my opinion, and I guess, since we're all going in line with poker is a game of skill, which, I completely agree with. If poker's a game of skill and not luck boxing, why not? Why not have a OTB-esque PokerStars site where everybody can just go in there and play on PokerStars?
True, maybe there's, maybe do like a offshore betting where you could actually have a place where you can play online poker. You could bring your laptop in, you could plug into their network and be up and running. But here's a kicker: you have to play. It's going to be us versus the world here. You can't just have everybody combined up and just play some guy on Georgia who also is in one of these places. We don't want to play European players too.
Oh yeah, and with that, you would be global. I mean, all you have to do is, I'm just going to kind of jokeify this, but get on the party barge, connect up to Party Poker, and just start playing. Why not? As long as you're in international waters, right?
Correct.
Or as long as the government gets their cut, they'll legalize it, just like they do with the OTB. As long as they get their cut of the taxes, then they could do that.
Last time I checked, it was 28 cents to the dollar, right?
Well, I wouldn't even know that.
Well, any winnings over 5K, it's 28%, right?
Yeah, straight off. That's from the casinos. I wonder what they would charge, what the off-track betting numbers are.
I think it's still 28, ain't it? Bootsy?
No, I haven't. Only time I've been to those that were to go into like banquet rooms, so I never placed an offshore or an off-track bet before. I've always, if I'm horse racing, I'm going down to Del Mar and doing it.
Yeah, because I just remember with gambling earnings, don't ask me why I know this. My wife used to do taxes. W-2Gs, it was always 5K or more. You had to have one. Or at least that was her rule to me. And it was always 28% off the top. I don't know if they changed it for this year or not, but, as long as Uncle Sam gets his, I don't think anybody really cares, right?
Pretty much. That's what they're looking for. What's the most money we can get out of this?
I mean, I certainly care if I'm paying 28 cents off the dollar.
Well, you're going to get some kind of rebate off of it at the end of the year due to how much you earn and all that good stuff.
Yeah, it depends on how you file. If you file as a professional poker player, then it wouldn't that wouldn't even apply because it's not gambling winnings. At that point, it would be just taxable income. So you just fall under the regular tax laws. But if you're an accountant and you win a poker tournament for $20,000, then those are gambling winnings, and that's a different form. as Mika said.
Yeah, you're talking about Schedule C deduction, but, Sir Bob Orr just kicked it off again, and I was about to say, the Fed is going to make money through licensing fees as well. So it's not going to be just straight-up players. They're going to make it off the top, right there in their licensing and the fees. But here's the thing.
Nevada's getting like $200,000 per license.
That's kind of cheap. I mean, they can really.
They have a small player pool. If it was federal, I bet it would be a license would be 7 figures. But because Nevada's got like 1 million people, they don't. How much can the sites make?
Yeah, that's 1 million residents, but they have about 250 million visitors. I mean, can out-of-state players that go to Nevada play internet poker?
I haven't seen that, but I remember I'm going to take a guess that the answer is yes, because when Washington, D.C. passed their bill, that was in the bill that if you were visiting, you could play. So I would assume Nevada did the same. I haven't really looked into their law all that closely.
And I know we were talking about brick and mortar, you get the 28%, but if you look at PokerStars, the former FTP, you have to consider them an internet brick and mortar casino. Just like the Merge Network is an internet brick and mortar casino. And as long as they're regulated, they start sending off reports. Yeah, I've seen hey, let's tax it on the way in, tax it on the way out. That way you don't have to report anything. Senator Kyle, I happen to be an Arizona resident. Yeah, I know his stance on internet poker. I've seen Reed and his stance on it too. There's just so much. You know what? I'm not even going to be the optimist or the pessimist. I'm going to be the realist. If I ever play internet poker again as a U.S. resident, I'd be shocked.
I think it's a 2014, 2015. I think it's a few years down the road.
I'm thinking maybe 2016 to 2020, somewhere in that time frame. We're talking way down there.
It all depends on who wins the election and which way the House and the Senate go. If Mitt Romney's president, there will be no online poker bill. Mormon will never sign that. So that would be 8 years of no online poker. But Obama, I could see, I don't see him pushing for it, but I could see him signing a bill that came to his desk for online poker. The question is, where does it come from in the House and the Senate?
Yeah, and you know what? Everybody can sit back. And I'm just going to take this from the 2008 election. Remember, everybody said, go out and buy guns. President Obama's taking office. He's going to take all your guns. And then I hear the Mormon, well, he ain't going to pass internet poker. If he looks at the cash cow that this is going to be, he's going to look at the federal deficit, look at the cash cow, and go, yes, I want money. Plain and simple.
He would not even hear about it in Massachusetts when he was the governor. Wanted nothing to do with it. Mormons are very, very anti-gambling. And
yes,
he's a practicing Mormon. He would be, thrown out of the Mormon church.
Oh, he'd be in Mormon exile is what you're saying?
Yeah. They'd excommunicate him.
Oh, so that means he'd have to go to, Rhode Island or something, huh? Or Canada. There's a good exile place. Oh, no, yeah, better yet. We can exile him to the Isle of Man.
If he passed online poker legislation, he'd fit in perfect over there.
Oh, yeah.
He'd get a job running the AGCC or something.
All right, Boots, I know you wanted to chime in on this. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm just saying that, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. That, yeah, I mean, with Mitt Romney, there's absolutely no chance that we're going to get online poker.
Oh, I think we would. I honestly think we would, because we do have that checks and balances system, where he could say no, and then everybody, and by that I mean 66.7%, say, no, you're wrong, we're having this.
Well,
that's the nice thing about checks and balances.
You've got to take a look at who's in the Congress, who's in the House, and who's in the Senate.
There's no more 66% majorities. You can't get 66% of those people to, agree on the day of the week.
Well, of course, because it's Tuesday, right?
There's no way they'd override a veto for an online poker bill. That's a tough bill, because it's one of those issues where the people who are against it are really against it, and the people that are for it are pretty much slackers. It's like almost like pot.
Of course. Have you ever seen a well-dressed businessman be a degenerate like the rest of us?
Yeah.
Hey, Tony Dunst don't count.
You got Marcel Lusk.
Bobby Orr is saying the radio is off in the chat.
Oh, it says we're still live. Well, let's just kick it off into... I know, Bootsy, you have something about Planet Hollywood?
Yes, Planet Hollywood, Las Vegas. I've been reading up on this on what's called All Vegas Poker, which is a site that I look up to get information on Las Vegas-based casinos, know how the games are going, what promotions are having, and Planet Hollywood has a silly promotion that guarantees $10K a day out of 5 the other tournaments, and whoever places first in these tournaments gets $1,000 guaranteed, and there's a $2,000 guaranteed prize pool. And there's a user on there called PH Chris, who apparently is a foreman or a manager of some sort. And he says within the past month they've been giving out over $36K in overlays. And do you want to know where those overlays are coming out of?
Hold up, Boots. I got a great idea.
Yeah, what's that?
Taxpayers' money.
No.
The rake. Like it should be.
No.
Oh, God. You know what that means? There's only one other thing that gets taken out of that pot.
Yep.
That must be that bad beat jackpot, right?
Yep. And so why are cash game players getting screwed for the tournament players? And the tournament that they have there, the structure is awful. See, the structure is you get 6K in chips, and you start off with 100 and 100 in blinds. So it was better than last year, though, because it started off with 100, 200 blinds with 6K in chips. So it's just, I think there's probably about maybe like 15 players or 16 players that play in this tournament, and they're just losing. The bad beat jackpot is pretty much getting raped. And
they're running a terrible tournament that's not attracting players simply by taking money from the bad beat jackpot.
Yes, simple for the guarantees.
So they could basically say, okay, the 16 players will guarantee $100,000 if they wanted to.
Yes, and they're taking it from the bad beat jackpot.
That is insanity.
That is insanity, and that is why Harris is an absolute joke. I've been saying that for the past year now, and it just doesn't look like it's going to get any better anytime soon.
Wait, that's happening at Harris Properties?
Yep, it is happening.
Ooh, that's like mark number 5 for Bootsy versus Harris Casinos. But go ahead, Steve-O. Sorry about interrupting.
Planet Hollywood?
That's correct.
The one in Vegas?
Correct.
I sense an article coming on that soon.
So would that be from Mr. Steve Ruddock from Poker News Boy?
It might be. You might just see it there tomorrow.
Yeah, you might want to check out this thread on All Vegas Poker regarding that. Yeah. And the funny thing about it is that this PH Chris character, he was pretty pretty active until somebody called him out on it, and since that he's been like the Templar, just silent.
Like that silent?
Like that silent.
Wow. So hold up, how much are they doing the guarantees for?
$10,000 a day. So there's 5 daily tournaments with $2,000 guaranteed each.
Okay. What are the buy-ins on these?
$60.
$60. So
they're kicking in half the guarantee then from the Bad Beat Jackpot.
So you're looking at $5,000 a day from the Bad Beat Jackpot. They must have some really good Bad Beat rakes.
That must need to now. And sorry, Steve. I know. Let me get this link up here for you. I know you've been asking for it. And
no rush.
There.
Thanks.
So, I mean, shout out to All Vegas Poker. I mean, they're a great site. I know it's run by John Friedberg. Who's been a really good poker player based in Las Vegas. Really approachable. Really good site in my opinion. They also purchased Poker Atlas within the past year. So yeah, shout out to All Vegas Poker.
I got something similar, but they're not raping the Bad Beat Jackpot, but Kashada. I'm not trying to promote a casino, but that's usually the place I go to grind at. Their Bad Beat Jackpot's been over $300,000 for a month now. So they started doing all those little micro $10,000 Bad Beat Jackpots, but they were smart enough to not pull that out of the BBJ. So this thing has just been blowing up. They paid out about 20 minis, or $200,000, just out of rake alone. In fact, it's so bad they're about to cancel that one, and I think they might drop the Bad Beat down a little bit lower than Quad 5's busted. So.
Yeah, another interesting thing about this is also regarding Las Vegas. The Win is going to be starting a $25,000 guaranteed $250 buy-in tournament, and the turnout for their dailies has been pretty low themselves. Are averaging between 20 and 30 players. So it's going to be interesting because they don't have a Bad Beat Jackpot. They don't take a Bad Beat Jackpot out of their cash game hand. So it's going to be interesting to see where that money comes out of.
Yeah, they're going to take it right from the rake, from their profits.
Well, that's how it should be, rather than scaring the players out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if I won a Bad Beat Jackpot at Planet Hollywood, I would assume you could almost file a suit with the Nevada Gaming Commission that they're. I mean, yeah, I don't understand even how they could do that without getting into trouble.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, at one of the last posts was on the thread is from a guy named Apollo, and he also showed the rules governing about the Bad Beat Jackpot. So there's rules about it, and what needs to be shown. They need to the amounts of funds need to be contributed from each pot. B, what type of hand it takes to win the pool. C, the percentages used to calculate the payout amounts. And D, when the contributed funds are added to the pools. And E, amount percentage of funds allocated to primary and secondary pools, if applicable. So I don't know if they're going off of that or.
Well, the secondary pool would be the reseed money, right? That would be like the Bad Beat Jackpot can't be below $5,000. So if it was up to 40, you'd get 35, and $5,000 would be left for the reseed money, and then they rebuild it from there.
Yeah.
That was always my understanding of how it worked.
So all in all, I mean, just don't play at Harris Properties if you're going to be playing poker. I mean, that's probably the worst place to play.
Yeah, well, that.
Come on, man. You know I'm going up to Bossier City mid-September, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, gotta take your chances, man.
Hey, man, I'm willing to pay that 85% rate right off my buy-in.
Well, Hope doesn't sound like very good ROI in my opinion.
I'm kidding, man. It's a 300 plus 65. They actually dropped the rates, but that's a different story. I think we covered it last week.
Yep. So that pretty much segues into your thing about what is it, the
circuit
circuit structures and what the best stop is.
Yeah. To be honest with you, everybody kind of knows it, and this kind of segments and works side by side of what we were just talking about was guarantees. Now, Hammond last year had a guarantee of $500,000 on event 3, the rebuy, and then event 10, the main event, was $1.5 million guaranteed. And you saw the turnout on both of those events almost smashed the record. It was like 2,200 players just for the rebuy event alone. And then for the main event, they had, I want to say it was like $2.2 million in the prize pool. So just buy-ins alone covered that. Now I know another stop had, and this was Palm Beach Kennel Club, right around my birthday, their first event, the 55. I know John Sepp played in it. I know, who else played in that one? It was John Sepp and Tim Bird played in that one. And they both had good, deep runs in that event. And that was a $1 million overlay. And they hit that mark really fast. So, Hammond has a huge floor. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Bootsy, but they have about 200 tables at that Hammond event, or so it seems like they have 200. I mean, you are jam-packed. They have the pavilion completely filled. Everybody's playing poker there. So it's always going to be a great stop, and it's always going to be added expected value, especially on those two tournaments, because everybody and their brother likes going after those guarantees. Am I right or wrong?
You're correct on that one.
I mean, Steve-O, I know you play. How many times have you heard guarantee and you notice the numbers for that tournament are like double or triple the normal daily?
Yeah, that was one of the greatest things online poker brought to live poker was guaranteed prize pools. Because as soon as you throw up that guarantee and it's not near it, people enter it thinking they're getting an overlay, and then more and more people just enter, and then suddenly the amount of people is double what it would normally be. It's definitely one of online poker's greatest additions to live poker.
Absolutely. And, another thing that online poker did was just the way they broke down the prize pool was just stellar at the time, too, and then it just got better on both sides of the house. But this is actually coming from Bill Bruce and, of course, my favorite, Alan Kessler, about the structures of these events. Now, I don't know how familiar you guys are with last year's structure, but it used to start off with 25-25 and then a 25-50. Well, lo and behold, if I got to play 30 minutes at 25-25, how aggressive do you think I'm playing, Boots?
Probably not that aggressive. You're going to be pretty tight.
I mean, it's 25-25. I got 10K in chip. Unless I got something really good, I'm not even playing a hand. And it came down to it. I know Kessler made the suggestion, eliminate the 25-25 and add the 250-500 and the 2.5K and the 5K to all the events in the main event. To be honest with you, last season, if I had a 250-500, would I have gone a little bit deeper? Maybe. I mean, I remember my 200-400 and then my jump to 300-600 was fairly seamless. I mean, I didn't really have issues with it. And my jump from 2K, 4K, 3K, 6K, really didn't have that many issues with it either. But it's nicer to have those extra levels on the back end so that way my M factor doesn't just go through the roof. So all in all, it's going to be really nice because this is a unified schedule. Every single event's going to be doing pretty much the same thing. And you can pull it off at WSOP.com/2012/circuits.asp, I believe, is the URL. If not, it's on the main page underneath the schedules. You can actually pull the circuit events. The schedules, the buy-ins, everything is pretty much universal. So what that really gets me concerned about is a stop like Hammond, where you need 2 separate days for, like, the rebuys. Because, I mean, Boots, if I go to Bossier City, I'm looking at maybe 400 for day 1, A, and then day 1B would probably be about 375. If I go to Hammond, I'm looking at 1,200 to 1,300 on day 1A, compared to, like, maybe 1K on day 1B. I don't see how you can have a 11 o'clock start and 7 o'clock start. I mean, what's your take on that, Boots?
I know. I guess it's all about the organization of the tournament. See how they can pull that off. But like I said, I know for a fact that they've that the bike has announced that the WSOPC is going to be coming back there for the second year. And the problem with that they did was they put their shenanigan tournaments, blended them in with the WSOPC tournament. So there was tournaments that you're not sure, hey, I'm going to be getting a ring if I win this tournament or not. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of people kind of weren't very happy with the WSOPC tournament last year.
Yeah, and, you know, Steve-O, I know you like having the truth posted out front. If you walked into a casino, Steve, wouldn't you like to know if, hey, if I'm entering in this event, I'm getting a ring?
Yeah, I want to know every detail up front. I want to know the total cost of like, what the rake, is there a fee, is there, a percentage taken out? All of that should just be plainly stated on the schedule. So if you're not sure if it's a ring event, it should say, WSOPC $300 no limit hold'em ring, WSOPC ring event. Just how hard is it to add that to the list of the tournament? And then if it's just a regular daily from the casino itself, just, $300 daily, no limit hold'em.
Yeah,
pretty simple.
And I totally agree with you, because.
But don't you think it's a little cheesy that they're doing that? They're adding in their shenanigan tournaments along with the WSOPC tournaments. Is that kind of strange to you?
Yeah.
I don't mind that. I mean, as long as it's clearly stated that, hey, this is just our regular daily tournaments. You don't want to upset your regulars because you have a tour in town. You don't want the people who normally play the daily tournament. They
weren't dailies though. They were like they had one that was like $300 triple DOS / Badoogie non-ring tournament.
Oh, so they were inventing their own tournaments. Yeah, that's pretty cheesy.
Yeah.
Yeah, cheesy, but to be honest with you, what do you expect out of the bike, right?
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why a lot of people are going away from the bike.
Yeah, and like I was going to tell you, Bossier City, when I hit that event, they ended all their dailies like the week prior, and all they were doing is running satellites, just non-stop satellites in their poker room. Of course, they got the 1-3-2-5 game going on, and the 4-8 limit, but they killed all their dailies just to take care of the circuit event. Hammond.
That's what Foxwood used to do that with the WPT. I mean, if you went down there even a month before, all you heard were steps tournaments. That's all you heard announced.
Yeah, and you expect that. You know what I mean? You don't expect to just sit back there and just get railroaded every single time.
Yeah, I agree with you. It should be completely transparent as to what the tournament is offering, what the buy-in is, what the fees are. It should just be plainly laid out. It's like when you go in, you call up Verizon to ask them about, the price of their internet service, and they give you a price, and you're like, well, what's the fees? What's the installation cost? What's the cancellation fee? Is there a rental fee for the equipment? It's like, just give me the total cost.
And here's how it looked last year. It was, you got 300 plus 55 That's what it looked like. That's how it was printed out, right? All the way on the bottom of the sheet, you saw a little asterisk. 3% taken out for dealer fees and staff fees, taken out of the total prize pool. Then you also saw another asterisk. $10 cash for dealer appreciation for an extra 3K in chips. Starting stack of 7K. And you saw that in a multiple areas. So you'd actually see, instead of it being a 300 plus 55, it was more of a 291 plus 64. You see what I'm saying? That's why this year they changed it so it's completely transparent. Tips and everything are still coming out of the same pool. In fact, they have more fees this year, and we're talking minimal, like maybe $1 or $2 at the most, except for like the main, where they're jacking about $30 and $10 out of the 1Ks. But the tips are still coming out of the same pool, and I'm going to refer back to 2+2 because that's probably the best source for it, and I'll just throw this here in chat so that way everybody can see it. If you follow this link right there, that's page 4. About midway through it, you'll see Bill Bruce. Great tournament director, great PR guy for the circuit. I actually met the guy. He seems pretty cool, pretty alright, straight shooter. And he just lays it all out there. You heard the rumors, this place is going to be in-house. Their in-house dealers suck. He just pretty much laid it out. All the events are going to be identical. The PTC staff is going everywhere. Don't worry about it. So, I think it's a nice thing that you actually have a universal schedule. Everybody knows what's going to be going on. Everybody knows all the buy-ins, all the fees, and everything's already out front.
Yeah, that's the only way to really do it, to make it easy for new players coming in to understand what's going on. The tournament rules should be the same way. I don't understand how Mohegan Sun and Foxwoods can have 2 different sets of rules for 2 different things, and then you go to another casino and it's slightly different there. There just needs to be one overreaching set of rules for everything.
I do believe Matt Savage's organization, now I don't know if it's completely his because there's 4 on the director's staff, but the Poker Tournament Association, or I'm probably missing a word in there.
Tournament directors.
Yeah, the TDA. That's what it is. The TDA, they have that baseline rule because they've been to, umpteen thousand casinos, and they kind of know the ins and outs. They all used to be dealers. They all used to be TDs. Now they're traveling TDs. You look at Savage. He was WSOP and WPT as a tournament director. You look at the caliber of that TD, and it's just amazing that they have a universal rule book. It seems like certain casinos add to and take away. I still haven't figured out why that is.
Yeah, they're local rules. It's how can you say to the locals that are there that for 11 and a half months of the year you can't talk about your hand on the river, even if it's heads up. And then when a tournament comes in, somebody starts talking about their hand, they call over the floor people. The dealer is so used to having that rule in place where you can't talk about it that he says, you can't do that. So then you have the whole kerfuffle of everything. So I understand why it's like that, but they need to do it not just for the tournaments. It needs to be universal. Like there should be 20 rules that are just the rule. That there's
one of them should be you fold a 4-bet to Steve Ruddock, right?
Yes. Or if I raise from the button, you just give up your blinds. Simple as that.
I think, Bootsy, you got a good rule for the rule of 20?
Whenever I come in the pod, just fold and give me the chips.
I would say 4-bet out of position. It's a mandatory thing.
Just fold for one bet on the river. That would be my dream. Call down everything, fold for one more bet on the river.
Hold up. I got a good one. Let's say the blinds are 1-3. If I want to do a scare tactic bet, I should be allowed to bet $1 on the river. Just to make it a fishy bet so I can get paid off.
That's called checking with a chip. Dusty Schmidt does that. Leatherass does that. If the pot's $500 and it's a 2-5 game, he'll bet $5 on the river.
I actually did that 2 or 3 times last night, and I actually got paid off.
He said he does it because it discourages people. It's better than a blocking bet because it discourages people from coming over the top. Because why the hell did this guy just bet $5?
Yeah, I didn't know that was done before, but it was 4:30 this morning. 1-3. I'm in seat 2. I have big blinds, so I'm already out of position. I flopped the nut. I already have a boat. Pot's about, I don't know. It was open for, God, what was it open for? It was open to $18. 2 callers. Seat 10 on the button, myself at the big blind in seat 2. So I call it, because, I got a nice pocket pair. Flop the boat. I was like, wow, I couldn't ask for better. So I tried to do that old poker tactic of make it look like I'm floating out of position. So, I check. He C-bets. I call it. The turn, check. He bets again. I call it. Then all of a sudden, on the river, $3. And he just looks at me and goes, are you serious? $3? And he's sitting there just scratching his head. And he's like, he goes, what do you have? I mean, he went into the tank for $3.
Yeah, it's one of those weird, it makes you stop and think.
I think the pot was around, I don't know, $75. So $3 into that pot, I mean, that should be an auto kill, even if he got 7-2 offsuit, just to see what he has.
Yeah. He's probably thinking, can I raise you off the hand?
God, I was hoping he would.
Yeah. Is that why you did it? Were you?
Oh yeah, I was looking for action. I was looking for action.
See, when I flop a big hand like that, I like the weak lead in those spots. I'll make a bet I have a small pair under the board or something.
But yeah, you know what? Let's get off of poker strategy. Yeah. I know we just kind of diversed and digressed, but Hammond, I know we were talking about that's the crown jewel of the circuit stops. I know we just talked about the structures being universal. There is one downside to Hammond, though. Have you guys been out to Chicago Horseshoe?
I have not.
Okay, it's a barge, and the casino is probably right next to the roughest neighborhood in Northwest Indiana, to be honest with you. So how many great stellar hotels do you think are right next to the region?
0?
Yeah, pretty much 0.0. I wish I had that audio file so I could just hit that instead of saying 0.0. But to be honest with you, you're right off of 2 interstates. You got the toll road and 994. So you can get a hotel anywhere you want. My recommendation, get as far away as possible, but be next to the highway. That's just my 2 cents.
Have you guys noticed that trend that the casinos they put them in really bad areas?
Are you sure that they put them in really bad areas, or the casino was there? And so there were $1 million houses next to it.
Spring up bad areas. I'm not a believer in that it ruins the area. But I mean, Bootsy, what out in California?
They're all in rough areas. Commerce is bad, Bike is bad, Hauser is bad, Hollywood Park is awful.
Now those weren't good neighborhoods beforehand, right?
They're all shitty neighborhoods for quite a while now. So and like I said, the only place I really play at is the Pechanga, which is out Temecula, which is actually a pretty nice affluent neighborhood. So I feel safe walking out to my car.
Yeah, and I mean, like, you got Atlantic City. That's, like, terrible.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't say one draws the other one, or vice versa, but it's a real symbiotic relationship if you pay attention. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
I
like
getcha.
you can't have a great casino without a slum next to it, right?
Well, you need the gens who will get the monthly check and head down to the casino with it.
Yeah, I mean, or hit the penny slots. I know where we're going with this, you know?
Yeah,
because
you go right to the slot machines.
Yeah, hey, I got $50. That's 5,000 pulls, right?
Right, I'm going to turn my 50 into 5,000.
Or $5. Either way.
I just ran that thing into 0.
Hey.
Yeah, if I'm down to 5 off of 50, it's just all going in.
Oh, you just push on that spot?
Yeah, there's no sense.
I actually said that the last time I was playing blackjack. I went down to like 22.5. They had a pink chip that said $2.50. I think that's what got me on tilt. You know, never get a blackjack when you bet $15 because they give you a 2.5 chip. So I saw that, you know, I just looked at my stack. I just go, you know what? Forget this. I'm all in. Dude's laughing. He goes, "You look like a poker player." I was like, "Yeah, I don't even care what my hand is." You know, he deals them face up. I was like, "I thought you were supposed to deal them face down, so that way I could look at you and say fold if I wanted to." You know, all the blackjack players sitting there just looking at me like, "Wow, you've either been up all night," which was true, "and you're really funny, or you're being completely serious. You have no idea what you're doing at blackjack. You have 2 aces." I go, "Well, I'd love to split them, but I don't have $22.50 behind, do I?" Looks like I'll stay.
I had a friend who used to do that. He'd go and play poker with like $500. He'd drop it down to 80, and then just as he was walking out of the casino, he'd just put $80 on a hand of blackjack.
Yeah, I mean, you got to just let it ride, you know?
Yeah. He'd be like, "Well, it's already been a bad night, so if I win now, he goes, then it's a good night."
Yep.
I'm like, "Yeah, but you're still down 340.
But not if I get a blackjack with 80.
You just got to run it up.
Yep. But I guess the last thing we'll talk about is charity and charity poker tournaments. I know there's one that I kind of really like, and I wish I would be up there for their second annual one. I actually went to their first one. That's the Special Kids Network. Here's the link for the first one. It was really fun. Actually, Matt Savage was there. We had a few others. Jeremy Ruddock was there. Emery Moorhead, former Chicago Bear, was there. You know, it had many amateur and professional poker players. I guess I was under like one of the 2 categories there as a poker player. Their main beneficiary is Cachette. It's going to be the same as this year. They actually scheduled the date Saturday, October 27th, 2012. So, lo and behold, I remember this one was Flight B for the main event over there at Hammond. Remember how I was kind of basing off my numbers? But guess what's the difference between this year's event for the Special Kids Network and last year's?
I don't know.
It's going to completely miss the World Series of Poker event out there at Chicago Horseshoe in Hammond, Indiana. So, what does that mean to the Special Kids Network?
I would say they'd be better if it was during the WSOPC.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I mean, I was passing the word out as a player, running up and down the floor talking to people. Actually, I got one of my buddies to go. He actually busted Jeremy Ruddock out of the poker tournament, which was kind of funny. He never thought he'd bust out a professional NHL player, but hey, you know, that's poker, you know. He even went on tilt. It was kind of funny to watch. But, you know, lo and behold, it was a great tournament. They had a good charity auction during the middle of it. Everything about that tournament was just great. So I wish I can go back to it, but to be be honest with you, if it's a week past circuit events, what's the pull? What's the draw? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I mean, first place is still going to be that 10K seat in the 2013 World Series of Poker main event. I'm actually kind of happy I'm on their mailing list, so they always send me stuff from Special Kids Network. And, you know, for a $100 buy-in, it wasn't too bad. You know, $100 buy-in, $100 rebuy-in, $100 add-on. Of course, charity, what does that mean to us as poker players?
It just means you're just getting back. Good karma.
Good karma. Reduced taxes, you know.
Yeah, you can write all that right off.
Exactly. But, you know, I'm not doing it for the write-off. I'm doing it because, hey, I'm originally from the Chicagoland area. Even though I just told you I'm an Arizona resident, you know, we'll figure this one out probably in episode 3 with the Who is Pikachu and Where Did He Come From segment. But, make a long story short, you know, I did it because I know the organization, I know Cachette, I know what they've done. Big fan of Chicago sports. Got to hang out with some of the top people. Got to hang out with Matt Savage for a little bit, and it was pretty cool. Especially sitting back and talking to Matt Savage one-on-one. I mean, he will blow your mind at how cool he is. I mean, have you guys ever met Matt Savage before?
Yes, I met him at the LAPC.
I have not met him.
Really interesting guy. I mean, I only met him for like about 10 seconds. Because he looked at the way I posted out the tournament. He's like, dude, that was the most sickest thing I've ever seen. I just said, went in like, hey, it's poker.
Yeah, and you know, that's just usually how it is.
Yeah.
But, you know, he's a great guy. I like him. You know,
I agree.
I'm going to follow his structures because his structures are usually the best. I mean, like I said, if Alan Kessler approved, is it a good structure?
Yeah.
I mean, Steve-O, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, that's all you hear from the pros is how good the Matt Savage structures are. I mean, they actually just call them Matt Savage tournaments wherever his structure's in place.
I was in a Matt Savage charity poker tournament structure. It was actually a really good, you're not forced into playing stupid cards right off the bat. And the funny thing was the blind levels were 20 minutes. So, I mean, the starting stack wasn't that great. I think we started off 25-50, and our starting stack was like 4 or 5K. But just the way it increased, it wasn't that bad at all. So, all in all, you know, I say the Special Kids Network is actually a good tournament.
And what are what does the charity itself do? What is the Special Kids Network all about?
Special Kids Network, they do a lot of work with the kids around Chicagoland. Well, I just know the Chicago Special Kids Network. Actually, one of their main things is they get money for Cachette. They also got Foundation for Retinal Research. They got the Gastrointestinal Research Foundation, National Stuttering Association, and Equestrian Connection. Basically what they're trying to do is reach out there and touch the kids that don't have, let's say, the perfect life. Like how you, myself, or Bootsy grew up. You know, 100% there, you know, physically, mentally, emotionally, and physically. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's more special needs.
Exactly. And I think it's a really good thing that they take care of these kids because when it comes down to it, if they don't do all this fundraising, if they don't do all the projects, and I think I'm actually looking at their site right now. I think they're holding a golf tournament. Yes. No, they just held the golf tournament. They got a tennis tournament that they have. So they're always running all kinds of stuff. They have special events going on constantly. So it's a good thing. They try to get the awareness out there. And Cachette really works one-on-one with the kids that have the disabilities and the special needs. And, that's a great thing. Now, I'm not 100% know exactly what Cachette does, but I know what the Special Kids Network does for Cachette, so.
And to me, one of the more shameful things about Black Friday is that that a lot of these, special tournaments like we in LA, we had the Extra Sports Tournament, which is a sports talk radio station here in LA, and these you have at least one tournament every 3 months, and since Black Friday they've shut them down. So it's kind of a shame.
Yeah, the online sites used to run a lot of charity tournaments too, whether it was tsunami relief or anything like that.
Because I remember it was Poker Stars that had the Red Cross tournament for Haiti, didn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
But you know what? Speaking of tournaments and charities, on the air, or actually on the line, shortly here on the air, we have Joe Uccello from 22Q. Let me get him here. I see he just called up. All right, Joe. Welcome to Low Limit Poker Radio.
Gentlemen, good evening. How you doing?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Oh, not too bad. Just on my way on a happy Sunday, on my way back home from playing a little soccer with my brother.
Who won?
Oh, we did. We smoked the team. It was like 13 or 14-2. So we beat them up pretty good. So.
And that's why we keep scored, ladies and gentlemen. You just heard it live. Blowout.
That's right. So how goes it this evening?
Bootsy, you got this one?
Like I said, it's our second show. We're looking to improve, so we're getting there.
Cool. I did want to mention something about last week's show. I know I tweeted a little bit with John about you guys had like a mystery caller call in, and was talking about how and I can't remember the exact gist of it, and I should have gone back and listened to the episode again, but how he was a little upset that people are always constantly calling in these low limit games, and you can't get away from these folks calling. I play a lot of low limit hold'em, especially limit hold'em, and one thing that we always talk about, even when we talk about in the early days of 2+2, is being happy to have somebody call you. In those games, it's kind of the opposite, where you're trying to isolate people and you're trying to raise to get people out of the pot. Sometimes it's not such a bad thing to flop a full house and 3-bet it because they don't expect you to 3-bet. I mean, when you start betting and raising with the stone cold nuts on the flop, they're just eager to put their money in with like a rag ace and happy to do it when you flop the nuts straight. I mean, it's just it's amazing. So sometimes getting these callers is a good thing, not a bad thing.
Yeah,
so.
Joe, I will agree with you on that. I'll post it on either Vegas Poker Radio, or I'll put it in the chat here in a minute about probably the dumbest call I made last night, but it was actually the nut hand. So, lo and behold, sometimes you just don't have reads on people. You're like, well, at least I can beat a bluff.
Right.
But I know you're a great representative of 22Q. Why don't you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. The reason I'm involved with the International 22Q Foundation, my wife is on the board of directors for the foundation, and my younger daughter, Julia, has a microdeletion of the 22Q11.2 chromosome, which is a portion of your 22nd chromosome. And it affects my daughter. She has some weakness, especially on her left side. She has some ear problems, especially from hearing. ADHD. She hasn't grown much. She is going to be 6 in September, and she is roughly the size of a small 3-year-old. So it's not dwarfism, but she's like this little package, and she thinks like a 6-year-old. She acts like a 6-year-old, but body-wise, she's a 3-year-old. And my daughter is really mildly involved in terms of what kids go through with the 22q deletion. just to give you a little background on it, it is the second most common chromosome abnormality or syndrome out there, second only to Downs. Downs has a rate of about 1 in 1,200 kids roughly. 22q has a rate of 1 in 2,000. So, and there are over 4,000 genetic disorders out there. And this one's number 2, but it's not well known because the blood test to detect it has only existed within the last 10 to 15 years. So picking up a lot more kids with it lately because we're able to test for it. But there are plenty of adults out there leading active lives that didn't even know they had this deletion and went through their school years getting help, getting special education, or sometimes even adults that are even older than that not getting the benefits of special ed because they were never really diagnosed with anything specific. It was just, oh, they had a bad heart or they had ADD or whatever, but it was never tied into this genetic abnormality until just about 10, 15 years ago. So the big challenge for the 22q Foundation and many foundations is that deal with 22q is the fact that they have to just get awareness out there, just get people to know that this exists, and it affects a lot of kids, and a lot of people don't even understand it. Just to give you a quick idea, it goes by many different names. It goes by DeGeorge syndrome. It goes by velocardiofacial syndrome. There are a bunch of other terms for it, but it's all the same chromosome deletion. My daughter, we had to take her to the emergency room the other night for an ear infection, and when they asked, what's her medical history, we said she has 22q deletion syndrome, and they looked it up on their system in the hospital, and they didn't even have it listed. So I had to go back and say to them, she has DeGeorge syndrome, and then they finally found DeGeorge, but my daughter doesn't have true DeGeorge syndrome, which is a specific deletion of that chromosome. So, just a lot of work that we do through the foundation, and there are a couple other foundations that I'll mention that are just trying to raise awareness and just get people to understand that this exists, and these kids and adults need specialty care and accommodations to help them out with their syndrome. So there are a couple other foundations that work with this. There is a VCFS group, velocardiofacial syndrome group. There is also one that you guys may have heard of in the past, which is the Ryan Dempster Foundation. Many of you guys should know or do know that Ryan Dempster is a famous baseball pitcher for the Chicago Cubs currently, unless he got traded within the last day, but I haven't heard. But Ryan Dempster has his own foundation, and he started it just before his daughter was born, and her name escapes me right now, but they had built a foundation to help children, and when his daughter was born, she was born with 22q deletion. They picked it up right away, and now the focus of the Dempster Foundation is 22q. So the Dempster Foundation is a very, very big advocate for kids with 22q deletion syndrome. One of their big programs that they've got going on right now is they're asking people, just to raise awareness, is to go online, go to 22qbus.org, and you can upload a video. Take a video with your iPhone, take it with a camera, take it with a camcorder, whatever you want. But upload a video that says, I'm on the bus for kids with 22q, and they're uploading it onto YouTube and onto their website. They've gotten guys like Cedric the Entertainer, Gary Sinise, a couple of famous actors. They've gotten, I forget, one of the guys from American Pickers has done a video, and they're really trying to get this to go viral. So we're asking everybody to go onto that website, 22qbus.org, and upload a video saying that you're on the bus for kids with 22q, and they'll get that up on the website. We've had hundreds of videos go up. We'd like to get it to thousands, and just, help raise awareness for people with 22q that way. The other thing we do is, obviously, I heard you guys through the phone a little bit talk about fundraising for charities and